The thing is that it's like, my I don't have a secret, but I tend to look at students and participants the way I look at my children. To try to guide them, help them. Of course, I don't know everything. I've made many mistakes in my life, and I'm bound to make a few more. But you learn to guide people towards their ambition. What is that they want to achieve and how to get there? So I'm patient. I take my time. And what I try to do is to find out, okay, what are the bits and pieces that this person needs to achieve their goal?
Hello, Henry. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. Could be worse.
Oh, good.
How
That's a very sensitive answer. It could be worse. Okay, good.
how is life today? We are summer. You're a professor at the university. How is your life in the middle of summer?
My life is wonderful. I must admit, I've had a very nice career. I will be retiring in 2 years' time. I'm the father of three lovely men, and I'm the grandfather of a lovely granddaughter, Mia. Um, I have wonderful friendships. I can do my research. I can write my books. I simply am enjoying life, Isabel. That's in a nutshell.
You've always been a very positive person. That's at least how I got to know you.
Mhm.
How difficult is it to remain positive and optimistic in the world we live in today?
Okay, well, this I encountered during my sabbatical in the academic year 2023 and 2024. And I made the decision not to visit our campus. So I've been away from campus for 13 months. And that was a game changer. And in the first months of my sabbatical, I thought, okay, I will be retiring soon. What will happen to my books, my research? And I saw very many obstacles. And then I had a very nice conversation with a Dutch entrepreneur whom I asked, okay, how do I organize the next 3 years of my life before retirement? And then he said, Henry, that's a very stupid question. And as a professor, I was not used to people reacting to me like that. I said, okay, Danny, what is the better question? And he said, you have to think about how to organize your life for the rest of your life. And
Nice one.
then that was a very good one. So it was a stupid question of me. So, and I stood corrected. And then I involved a former student of mine with a group of his friends. And we had a soul searching session about, okay, how should Henry organize his life? And the long and short of it is very simple. I only see opportunities now. Even in a world that's grim at times, there are opportunities. There may be small ones, there may be big ones, but there will always be opportunities. And the one opportunity that you can grasp and choose for every day is, okay, how do I approach life today? And if you say it's going to be a good day, it probably will. If you say it's going to be a bad day, it surely will. So this is it's an attitude, it's a choice that you make.
Is that a mind shift that happened in your
Oh
life?
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh yes.
So you were not always like this.
I've always been how do I phrase it? I've always been optimistic, um, really on the branch of naivety. But due to my sabbatical, I took a few steps back, I rested, and then life became clearer. So I've always been optimistic, but I've always seen also quite a few obstacles. Uh, Obviously, the obstacles are still there, but I'm much more stimulated by the opportunities that are there.
Mm. So would you recommend everyone to take a sabbatical?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh definitely, and not just for 3 months or 6 months. A year for me was the minimum period, and I'm very happy that I've taken off a full year and not 6 months, because after 6 months, I woke up I looked at my watch, and it said 9 o'clock in the morning. So and the significance of this is that it took me 6 months to get out of the rat race and be able to sleep in.
Mm. But of course, not everybody has the opportunity to take a year, 12 months sabbatical. Do you have any suggestions for people who want to also to get that mind shift that you had and look at opportunities rather than at obstacles, but don't have
Mhm,
the possibility of
mhm,
taking such a long sabbatical?
mhm. Yeah, I get that. What I've also come to experience is that freedom is totally in your head, in your mind. You decide
Mm.
whether you're free or not. And if you decide to take work home with you, perhaps not physically, but mentally, then that's your decision. So you're still at work. If you decide to close a work door at 5 and then start living your life, that helped me a lot. This year in April, I've taken a 2-week holiday, and that was the first time in nearly 3 years that I took a holiday. That was not because I was so very busy. It was simply because I didn't need a holiday, because I decided and I felt that everything I need, all the space I need, I can create for myself in my head.
Mm. Mm.
And
That's a nice one. That's a nice one because you are back to the rat race. You are back to teaching. You're back at university, but you're also back at writing books. How
Mhm.
many books have you already written, Henry? I lost count.
Um, well, I'm afraid so have I. Someone counted them in last month and said about 10 books. About 10 books.
Wow, that's
And
impressive.
by the way, I'm not back in the rat race, Isabel. I've made a decision, and the decision helps me to keep track of what I really want. So I do my job, and I do it very effectively, if I can say so. I'm more productive than ever, and I don't work in the evenings, and I don't work in the weekends anymore.
Okay, so that's a big change compared to
That's a
before
big
your
change.
sabbatical.
That's right. So it's not a rat race. It's not even a mice race.
So you are 2 years ahead of your retirement, and you're
Mhm.
gonna take this 2 years slow and steady and focusing on what matters, which is great. What after your retirement? What are your plans?
Well, I've thought about that, and the plan is to change nothing. I will keep on doing my research for writing books. I will keep on traveling. I will keep on doing consultancy presentations. So that's basically my decision. Nothing really changes. I'm very happy with my life. I'm very happy with the things that I do, and I'm even happier with with how people react to what I do in terms of presentations and books. So there's no need to change anything, and I'm very happy with that.
And the retirement at the university, so that's the only retirement you're gonna have. It's retirement as a professor.
Mhm.
And is that because it's an obligation, you need to retire or do you
It's
want to retire?
it's no, that's a very good thing. If I could afford it financially, I might retire today.
Okay.
Um, but at 67, you simply have to retire.
Okay, that's the
Yeah,
law in the
that's right.
Netherlands. Okay.
But, there's always the opportunity that they ask me to give a course or to supervise theses and so on and so forth. And I'm very happy to do that, of course.
Interesting. Let's get back to how we met. So I've written my first book in 2020. It came out
Hmm.
in 2021. And a lot of magical things happened to me as soon as I launched my book. And when I look back at it, I think one of the things that surprised me the most is that a lot of people that I knew or that I didn't knew, and you were one of the ones who I didn't knew, granted me a lot of things. So I was introduced to you by an ex-client of mine, René Repko, who's a
Hmm.
fabulous marketer,
Oh,
and
yes. Yes.
he's back at the job now, working for a
Hmm.
big supermarket again. Um, and René introduced me to you and said, listen, take your care methodology to universities, and I'm going to connect you to Henry. And then you, without knowing me, said, okay, come and give a guest lecture in my in one of my MBA classes, which I did. And then we did that more or less 3 years in a row, which is for me, which is something incredible. Putting somebody on a stage. I mean, I know a class is not a stage, but still putting someone on a stage without even having met them and without knowing how they will perform is such an amazing gift you can give someone. So I would like to understand, why did you do that, and what can others learn from that? Because giving people chances is something that I strongly believe in it. It's a part of the care principles, obviously, because it's caring for somebody. But not everybody does that. So why did you do it, and why should maybe others do it?
Well, I think at the heart of it, it's very simple. When René contacted me and said, I have this ambitious author with a good story, I thought, well, if René says so, it probably is so. Now, by the way, if you would call me up and say, Henry, I have a great presenter, I will invite them again. No problem. So it's the quality of the network. It's the person who makes this recommendation. It's so important to me. And when I know people and I trust them and they trust me, that's the best check I can do. Now, the second thing is, you and I could have sat together for hours and discussed the guest lecture that you would give. And that's all well, but I don't believe you can engineer engagement for a whole class between the two of us. And a principle I firmly believe in is simply go out and test it. Test the hypothesis. Can Isabel engage this group of highly demanding customers? So I put that to the test, and the test gave very positive results. And so it's based on the person who recommends another person, and also in, you have to put things to a test.
Which means you have to be willing to take risks, right?
Of course, yes.
What would have happened if it went completely wrong? And maybe you already had that. Maybe you already had guest professors guest lecturers who were completely bad.
So, but these things happen, and what I typically do is that I say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think this is a logical moment for a short coffee break," and people never mind coffee break, so that's also a gift. And then I talk to the guest lecturer and say, "Well, this isn't going well. I will tell the class that you don't feel well, that this wasn't your top day, and I will continue my own lecture." So there's always a fallback option.
Did that ever happen?
Well, the fact that I have to think about it is
probably
telling.
not.
Yeah. Well, it happened that sometimes a guest lecturer doesn't perform as intended, but then if someone starts to complain, I say, education is a two-way street, right? It's a service, and you as a service receiver also have to engage in the process. If you don't engage, and after you complain, you as a customer haven't done your job well. So it's not only the guest lecturer who doesn't perform, it's also the group themselves. And there's always a teachable moment from this.
Totally. And what I learned from it is that, as you remember, every year I got better at it, because first, there's a big difference with giving lectures in Belgium compared to the Netherlands. The Dutch audiences are so different compared to the Belgians. And secondly, what I loved about it is that each new opportunity is an opportunity to do better. and to engage better with the audiences and to give them something which works better for them. Because one of the things, and I'll get to it in a second, one of the things that I learned from the CARE principles, it's quite complex. It's already 4 principles that you apply in 4 domains. And then in the second book, I went deeper and I made 20 steps out of it. And people always want to know the how. They want to know, yeah, but how does it work? And they want to dive into these steps and dive into the mechanics behind the CARE principles. But I learned that I first need to touch them with the why. Why apply the CARE principles? And then these steps come later. But I had to learn it myself. So it is quite complex. And then to teach it, you want to give as much knowledge as possible, but they can't do anything with the knowledge, because somebody once told me, and I love that expression, the grass doesn't grow faster if you pull on it, right?
And that's perfectly true.
And it's a bit the same with the complexity of the CARE principles that I created. It's quite complex to teach it. But what is your opinion on the CARE principles? You've seen it evolve. You started with the first book and then you saw the second book. What's your honest opinion about it?
Okay, there's a couple of things that I want to share. Your first book I liked very much because it is really centered about humans. Humans need to be heard, need to be valued, need to be respected. So that's what I liked very much. And I think as a marketing strategy professor and consultant, you indeed have to first touch people before they can do anything. They have to feel and see the need for change, right? And that's what I liked about your approach. And then your next book, The 20 Steps, is, I think, a very logical development. First, you have a model, an idea, and then you want to teach people how to do it, right? So that's all logical, and I like that very much. What I liked even more is your personal development. And we reflected upon that in your most recent lecture, Nyenrode. So where you were the first time when you were a guest lecturer who couldn't finish the presentation because you had so many slides. So next year that was much better. But in the first time you were really a guest lecturer. You were well prepared. You delivered very strongly. And in the most recent one, you were living the principles. Right? You were radiating the principles, and that's your personal development, which I think is awesome. And I really like that development. So you've grown as a person, as a presenter, as someone who has a message. So, and that's if you would ask me what I like most about my job, is to see that people actually develop themselves and grow. And I've seen it.
I'm even crying now because you also always touch me in the heart, because you seem to say spot on things, and it's so true. But sorry, I interrupted you. Meanwhile, I'm gonna dry my eyes. Continue, Henry. Continue.
I see it as a compliment. But the thing is that it's like I don't have a secret, but I tend to look at students and participants the way I look at my children. To try to guide them, help them. Of course, I don't know everything. I've made many mistakes in my life, and I'm bound to make a few more. But you like to guide people towards their ambition. What is that they want to achieve and how to get there? So I'm patient. I take my time. And what I try to do is to find out, okay, what are the bits and pieces that this person needs to achieve their goal? And that's something that is, it comes natural. And sometimes, most often I look very patient, right? And I behave very patiently. But
that's
inside, it's a volcano. I want to go faster. I want to go quicker. I want to go deeper. And sometimes, okay, for this person at this moment, This is enough. It's with your children. If you teach them to use cutlery during dinner, you could say it 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, and they still don't do it. But when they go visit a friend and have dinner there, you get complimented by their parents like, oh, your children are so well behaved. And you think, my children? Yes, my children. So you have to be patient, and people learn a lot from observing you. How do you do it and what you do? And this patience is really looking at, what do I think that this person needs to proceed to get to their ambition? That's my approach in life when it comes to education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fully get it. You're so right. Let's dive a little bit deeper into part of your profession. Well, not a part, the most of it.
Mhm.
You are into marketing strategy. You're into customer leadership. Most of your books are about that topic. If we look at marketing, the profession is tremendously under pressure today because due to technology, there's the changes that are coming at us, and specifically also with AI, is tremendous. In your opinion, what are the biggest opportunities, but also the biggest threats today for marketers?
But I think the biggest threat for marketeers is themselves.
Okay.
I think that most marketeers are not acting from a customer-centric point of view or stakeholder-centric. Marketing sees the advent of many technologies, many techniques, and they all have a promise, they say. And I think that marketeers in this day and age are jumping on these technologies and tools to improve their work. Now, typically, I think what marketeers should do is sit back, look at what is happening, observe, and think. Can I use this technology to improve life for my customer and other stakeholders? Can I use what's happening to create value for all my stakeholders, not only for the company? And I think many marketeers are working with tunnel vision. This is what I do, SEO, SEA, and I do that very well, and that's it. We do need specialists, but a true marketeer tries to create value for all stakeholders. So they have to have a broader view. And if they stick to their knitting, their very electronic knitting, then we won't make any progress at all. Because the unit of analysis is not a technology like AI. The unit of analysis is not click rate optimization. No, the unit of analysis is creating value for all stakeholders. And those are big words, I know, but strategic marketeers are always in for big words.
Mhm.
And I think marketeers are holding themselves back to focus only on a little technique or a new innovation. They should focus on all stakeholders, which is a bit strange to say focus on all stakeholders, because on how many stakeholders can you focus? But you have to be there for them. And that is also where the opportunity lies. The world is changing. We have trends, developments, we have AI, we have other technologies, and there will be other technologies in a few years' time. How can I help my customer by using those technologies? It is very simple to me. If a new technology arrives and I can't do anything with it to improve the life of my customer, I should ignore it. If I can use it to improve the life of my customer and other stakeholders, I should use it.
Mhm.
But of course, you need to experiment with all new things that are there. The problem is you cannot experiment with everything out there. So there's quite a few firms, especially in the Netherlands, who say, well, you have to look at the new developments and you have to use them. But how many developments can you put to good use? how many resources does a company have to make sure they create value from all these elements? It's impossible. So you have to observe, analyze, think, and decide. Not think that if there's new technology, we should jump on it and see whether it works. You don't have the resources. You have to think strategically.
Mhm. But one of the issues that I see today in reality with companies is that the strategic thinking, not just brand strategy, but strategic thinking general, business strategy in general, there's less and less time for that because every day the operational urgencies demand so much attention from all C leaders. It's very tough to take time to carve time out of that very busy agenda to think strategically. It's all about what is happening today, what needs to be fixed today, what is wrong today. And compared to the past, there's way less time and attention for strategic thinking.
Mhm.
Do you have the same observation or is it different for you?
No, I have similar observations, but we still have 24 hours per day, right? That hasn't changed.
Mhm.
And we know from research that CEOs only spend 3% of the time talking to customers. And of course, there are things happening each day everywhere. And I think this is what I call the fallacy of management. If there's a fire in your organization, you put it out, you've done a good job, you feel very well. So firefighting is very satisfactory. Managing is very satisfactory because you get things done, right? So you go home and say, well, I've managed 12 processes and they all went very well. I had to put out 15 fires and, great. Tomorrow's another day. No, I think very many people can do that themselves. I think when you're in the C-suite, you have to think strategically. Of course, you have to make money every day. That's for sure. Yet you have to prepare for tomorrow as well. If you only focus on today, you will spend lots and lots of time on things that do not matter. There's a very nice exercise, So in a group, if you say, okay, what did you read in the paper today? What was important? Now you get a plethora on things. Now suppose you can only read a newspaper. Suppose the newspaper only appears once a month. What's in it? Suppose it would appear only once a year. Which news would be in it? Now, chances are that all the things that you are busy with today will not appear in that newspaper. So we have to create a mindset that thinks about, okay, what will my newspaper say in a year? Did Henry manage the process as well? Or will it say, well, Henry is a visionary and he was right that we shouldn't jump on these technologies, but we need to bet on this technology. So I think it's the responsibility and the duty of the C-suite to think strategically. Just thinking about how to get by day is not enough. And of course, many organizations have stakeholders. Many stakeholders just simply want one thing. That's more profit. That's fine. That's their job. But I think if we can create value for all stakeholders, then our organization will be in a better place for a year from now than today. And that's the responsibility of the C-suite.
I agree. I totally agree. But like I just said, in reality, I don't see it enough because everybody is so occupied with the short term. Having said that, getting back to taking care of customers and really caring for customers, which is something that we both plead for, me and my model with care for clients and you with your customer centricity. If you would ask 100% of companies, do you care for your clients? They would all say yes, right?
So,
They all say, "Oh, yes, of course. We are customer centered. Everything is focused on our clients because they are our bread and butter." If, as a customer of any type of company, big or small, national or multinational, you mostly feel you're not in the center of their attention, right? There's a big
sure.
gap between
Sure.
what companies think they do for customers and what you feel as a customer.
Mhm.
Where does that difference lie in your opinion?
Okay, now if I'm a customer of a multinational company, electronics or whatever, um, I'm exactly that. I'm a consumer, nothing more, nothing less. They don't care about me, and they can't care about me because they don't know me. And if they address me in a newsletter like, "Dear customer, you are a valued relationship of ours," that's a lie. That's a lie. They don't value me. They value my money. So don't approach me like I am a valued customer. Right? What they could do is, of course, ask my opinion about things. And typically, when you're working with software or big companies, they ask you for your feedback. You send your feedback and they say, "Thank you very much. We will not react on your feedback." Don't ask me then. But I know why they do it, because they want to have free information, of course. I see that.
Mm-hmm.
I think many brands don't care about their customer. They care about being efficient, not being effective. That's a different thing. Being efficient is, I think, is the top one thing that managers care about: being efficient, doing things well. But first and foremost, you should ask yourself, am I doing the right things? So if I really care about my customer, how can I show I care? Now, it's very difficult for a large multinational company to show that they care, you think. But there's nothing wrong with sending a newsletter. Okay, newsletters will not be read at all, right? Because we get so many newsletters. But you can say, well, dear customer, thanks for buying these products. Thank you very much, and we will take care, and we will try to improve them in the future. That's fine. Okay, fine. I don't expect that. I don't expect more from a multinational company. I only expect service when I need it. So I had a personal experience with a telecom company in the Netherlands. I made a mistake. They made a mistake. And to put a long story short is, they say, "Mr. Robben, you have to honor the contract. Period." I said, well, we both made a mistake. "No problem," she said. "You have to honor the contract." So that's very bad customer service. Customers don't expect perfection, but we expect a little empathy. And in any exchange where there's some empathy, there's a chance for a relationship to evolve. If there's no empathy, there will be no relationship. And
But why is empathy so difficult?
because two things, I guess. I think companies think, oh, being empathetic means, oh gosh, we have to talk to people. Well, that's expensive, right? And if you do it through a call center, then it may be less expensive, but it still costs money. And the second thing that I think is even more important is, if I talk to people, they expect me to do things, which will be even more expensive.
Mm.
And that's, of course, ridiculous. I don't expect perfection from the companies I buy from. I only expect that when something goes wrong, that they listen to me and do what they can.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more. Even when this telecom person kept on telling me, well, you have to honor the contract. But I feel sorry for you. And next time, please look at this and that. And, perhaps you will have a better experience. I thought, okay, I've been hurt. I've talked to a person. Now I talk to a human computer, which will put me off of their business forever.
Yeah. Yes, because that's another thing. All, at least big organizations, are data driven, and everything now is of course, due to technology, is computer based. There's no human to be found anymore. I mean,
Mhm.
try to, even with a call center, you have to push like 75 buttons before you can reach a human operator. they make it customers so difficult. It's like, and when you reach out to them by phone, it's because you really have a problem, right? Nobody is calling a big organization just for the fun, just because you're
Yep.
bored. You have an issue, it doesn't work, there's a technical problem or whatever. And then you have to be so patient, and you have to try all these buttons, and then you're on the wrong, you chosen the wrong program, and you have to go back to, it's worse than Monopoly. You go back to square one or go back to jail.
Mhm.
That's how it feels when you contact big companies. And I understand the money side of it. I understand it costs money. But one of the things that I don't understand is that every piece of research indicates if you take good care of your clients, they will be loyal to you. They will spend more money on you. They will buy more products or more services or whatever. And still, in reality, companies seem to do so often the opposite.
Mhm. So yes, it does cost money to engage with your customer. But we also know that if you help a customer with a complaint, they will be more satisfied than other customers. Which doesn't mean that you should create dissatisfied customers to help them. No, but you have the opportunity to change a transaction into a relationship. And of course, there's many companies who hide their phone number deep in their website, and that's a bad sign. They say, "Well, we don't care. We simply don't care. Give us our money. Give us your money, and we're fine." I think if a company would say, "Dear customer, you buy a product or service, you give your money, we don't care about you, so don't complain." I think that may be popular. That may become very popular because they promise what they will do. Of course, it will be a gimmick because if you have to phone 5 times because your product is not working, then the fun really slows down a lot. But I think if you say we care about customers, you have to show that you care. So put your phone number on page 1 of your website. If you don't do that, you don't care. If you say, well, it's expensive to talk to customers, then probably your product isn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you trying to compete if you don't deliver what you promise?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we as marketeers should be really, really looking out for. Do we deliver what we promise? And I think it's a very bad idea to under promise and over deliver. That's a very strange and bad strategy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is you teach uh, marketeers, you work with organizations. What is the biggest struggles that they have today?
The biggest struggle, I think, comes in 2 varieties. First and foremost, most companies think in being efficient. What we do should be done well with a minimum effort. So that's why so much marketing is digital, because C-level people assume, wrongly so, that everything we do is digital. In everything we do, digital is involved, but not everything we do is digital. So there are things that we do in life that where digital marketing has no clue about, right? What we do in the bathroom. Okay, well, you can assume things, but no digitality there for now. And the second thing is, so the first one is being efficient, everything should be done digitally, is that companies really have no clue, and I'm putting this very black and white, for the discussion, is what it is that the customer needs. Do we know what our employees need? Do we know how we can help our suppliers? Do we know how we can help our partners in the supply chain or the ecosystem? Do we need what all stakeholders want? So the simple focus on shareholders and on processes, I think, takes you a bit out of the competition. if you have to compete on efficiency, then at one point in time there will be a company more efficient than you. Very likely, company working not in Europe.
Mhm.
But if you focus on doing the right things, being effective, that's more difficult to imitate a substitute.
Mhm. But being on the efficiency side, all organizations, big and small, they all have these uh, um, scores that they keep. They have customer satisfaction scores that they keep. They have NPS scores that they keep. They have employee engagement scores that they keep. They are tracking everything.
Mhm.
And so they're just looking at the numbers there. Okay, our market share is up or down. Our employer satisfaction is up or down. Our customer satisfaction is up or down. So they are just monitoring the data. And so based on that data, they believe they are doing well, or they should act upon certain things that are in the data, or some
Mhm.
red lights that are appearing. Again, in my opinion, a lot of this data is great, that they are tracking things. That's perfect. But they really don't dig deep enough into the data to find the real problems. So everything is staying very superficial in my experience. And so, for instance, if the customer data, customer satisfaction, compared with sales, if all of those lights are green, they don't change anything. But if you would dig deeper into them, you would see the real problems, but they don't. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think most of these data will be fed into a dashboard, right? So
Mhm.
how are we doing today compared to last month? And I think the biggest mistake that companies make is that they translate external data to internal yardsticks. So if we
Mhm.
see that NPS or customer satisfaction is still green compared to last month, then we have nothing to worry about, right? But they have a lot to worry about because they don't measure the right things. And of course, you should measure NPS and all this stuff. But what are competitors doing? Are they doing better things than we? Are there potential new entrants? Are there substitutes for our products? Imitations? That's something that I don't measure because these are difficult to measure. How difficult is it to measure whether a small startup company at a technical university will be a competitor in 2 years' time or not? So companies don't do that. They will say something like, okay, we will react when we need to. It's like the CEO of Stellantis, the conglomerate of Peugeot and Fiat and so on,
Mhm.
said when Tesla was becoming a rising star, well, electrical vehicles, I don't know. Is there a future? If Tesla succeeds, we will buy them. Well, guess what happened?
So true.
They m-
You know,
they missed the goal.
in the same type of example, I worked so many years ago for the big coffee company Douwe Egberts, and we did a trend analysis, and we showed them a tiny brand that just emerged, which was Nespresso. And I was working specifically for Senseo Douwe Egberts, and we told them, listen, there's a small brand that is just emerging. It's called Nespresso. And they said, oh, it's not our business. It's a different business because it's with capsules. It's not with pods. And we said, yes, but for the customer, it's the same. It's an instant coffee, and their quality seems to be better than what Senseo is doing. And they say, oh no, it's just like it's never gonna hit. They're not in retail. They had so many
Mhm.
reasons to dismiss the information
Yes.
that we gave them. And then, look where they are today. And of course, they're still in retail, they still exist, but Nespresso became so big. And now the world has changed again, and there's other things next to
Mhm.
Nespresso. But it's true that one of the things that I always say, they don't look outside the window. They are in ivory towers, and all of their attention goes to what is going on in that ivory tower.
Mhm.
And they seem to miss what's going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, it is very difficult to assess every technology, every new development, right? You can't, and if you have to spend time on emerging companies, that's a lot of uncertainty. It's a lot of time that you spend with uncertain results. That's why, as a marketeer, you need to think from the customer's perspective. So, why are people buying Senseo? Well, it's instant, it's quick, it's only one cup of coffee. Okay, that's what I want. Quick coffee in the morning. Capsules do exactly the same thing, right? So, and perhaps there are some other technologies that can do the same thing. So, this is what we have to look out for. Why are customers buying our stuff? And what would make them buy the competitor's stuff, right? Because it's even more convenient, even tastier. So, if you look at this from the customer perspective, then assessing a development becomes much more focused. And of course, it takes time. But if you willfully ignore what happens outside the company, if you say, well, if the competitor uses it, we will use it as well. Okay, you will be spending less money, of course, probably improving profits, which is great. But you may miss the boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And this is what
totally
marketeers
true.
should do.
Mm-hmm.
Does it influence my customer? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think the role for marketeers is often that they are a true connection with that outside world, and they should bring that outside world into the organization. That's the real role, I think, of marketeers. They should go out. They should, see their customers, see how their products or services are used.
Mhm.
Because you can't expect that, for instance, from a CFO or CEO. I mean, they have other things to do on their to-do list. But it's challenging. It's a challenging job today, I think, because it became so data driven, and technology is pushing them to stay also updated on that level. So there's so
Yeah.
many things you need to learn today as a marketer, right?
Yeah, but that's great. That's great. And this is what humans are very good at, learning. And I think also a CFO should go out and find out what customers are doing. That's equally true for B2B and B2C. If you have a B2B customer, they're probably fewer in number, you get to know them better. But if they buy a product from you and they modify it in their own factories, hey, wait a minute, this is something that they need. So our standard product isn't good enough, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they won't tell you probably, but if you go into the factory and you see what happens, that's data. Arguably, it's small data, but it's very effective data, right? Having
Mm-hmm.
more data doesn't mean that you know better. Most of the data we create is simply rubbish, right? It's noise.
Yeah.
And also, if even if you're a member of the C-suite, for instance, at our university, we also have a competent board. They should go out and visit us in our classes. What are these people doing? They should go and visit the student restaurant to see what they are eating, right? They should take a walk around campus to see how well it is maintained. Yeah? Eat your own dog food. I think that's the academic proverb I would like to use here. And of course, it costs time, but there's always a cost benefit. If you personally observe the data and experience what customers experience, it's a very small price to pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It seems so simple, but in reality, apparently it's not that simple. I think because we see a lot of counter examples of that.
Yeah,
But let's get back to leadership, because you're in the customer leadership. I've written a 20-step leadership model based on the 4 CARE principles. I don't know if you remember the model, or should I put it up, the 20 steps?
that's
Which
fine.
of
No,
these
that's okay.
which of the 20 steps is for you the one that speaks out the
Okay.
loudest to you?
Now, what I like very much in your book is the exercise you described on page 15. But
Okay.
have a look at it.
I,
Yeah, so what
I
are
don't
your
know. I
regrets?
don't know it myself.
Yeah. So, and I think that's a very nice starting point to make people aware, like, hey, you're human. you have ambition, you want to achieve something in life, you see opportunities, you don't take them all. And that's to be conscious about your mental state of affairs and your feelings, like okay, I am ambitious, I want to do things. And then when I look at the first step, one of the steps, when you talk about collaboration, there's one step that's called purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I start my classes with, my consultancy with. So I ask people about their strategic ambition. I ask them, okay, what do you want to achieve in life for yourself and your company? And that for me is the most important starting point for me. I know that others will say, well, we first have to create a sense of urgency. Well, that works for them. This method works for me best because it's who I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And from there, thanks
Yeah.
to the whole. And from there, I also have my own model and method.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have an idea about what the company or the person wants to achieve, and that achievement goes way beyond simple profit statements, because I'm not interested in how much money a company makes. I'm interested in what they want to achieve in 10, 20 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Once we have established that, it's great. People are enjoying themselves. They see a purpose. They see the logic. They see the urgency, and then it works.
I fully agree, and I think what I like about purpose, that it works on a personal level. What's your personal purpose, and it works on an organizational level. What's the
Yes.
company's purpose? And that's what I really like. Once I gave a guest lecture at the Vrije Universiteit in Amsterdam, and one of the students came after the class. She came to me and she said, "Thank you so much for this class. You made me find my purpose again. I lost it. I lost it over the years. And listening to your lecture, it made me remember what my real purpose is. And I would like to thank you for that." And it was so touching for
Wonderful.
me.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was really touching for me, because I said, if I can touch one person like this in each lecture, that's enough for me. But getting back to purpose on a company level, so we are fully aligned. It's very important to have a purpose that goes beyond financial. Like we want to be the biggest and we want to earn 1 billion euros or whatever. Why are so many companies still not having a purpose, Henry?
Well, this is a matter of definition. Some companies say we have a purpose. We want to be the biggest, the most financially secure in the world, and that's fine. If that's what they want to do, great. If you want to work for such a company, that's great. But we also have to look at which damages are these companies creating, right? So we have chemical companies that enrich our lives, but there's PFOS and PFAS everywhere. That's a damage to society, which these companies are not being held accountable for. So that's something that we have to make sure in education, but also in our behavior, that we reward companies that do good, that take care of society. Now, there will always be companies who say, well, I want to do good, but first I have to have a enormous part of money. Then I can decide whether I want to do good or not. That's totally up to them.
But
And
that's philanthropy, right? That's not
yeah.
a purpose.
Well, I know that some companies say this is our purpose, to create money for the shareholder. No. Our ideas about purpose are multidimensional. That they give direction, they are stimulating, they are a sort of a glue that holds the whole company together. But the thing is, of course, does a company need to create value through their purpose? And we now know from research that companies that have a purpose and live the purpose, and whose employees say, well, we do really live our purpose, they are also performing financially better.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that. So there's no excuse like, okay, purpose costs money. It's a consumer thing. No, if you have a purpose and live it, then you make more money. And of course, quite a few big companies who came together in a circle where they discussed how to do good for the world. And a year later, they came back together and nothing has changed. So we as customers, we have to make our choices. That's why the book, The Customer Leader, has as a subtitle, Building Great Business Based on the Choices Your Customers Make.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should, as customers, also put our best foot forward and show what we really like. Now, of course, purpose is also a luxury. If you have enough money, then you can create a purposeful life. If you have little money, then you have to go to discounters, whether you like it or not. So that's also a reality we need to face. And as you said, it's a complex thing. But there are people who can move, who can choose. And I hope these people and companies will move and choose.
It's something that we often forget, that we, as a customer, as a consumer, we have a vote, and the vote is our euros, where we spend them.
That's
and
right.
The brands we buy, the companies we support. And we often forget that, because we often think, oh, but if I don't buy that brand, what does it matter? But if you do it, and then you tell a friend, and they also start to do it, and they tell a friend, you have that ripple effect that we can really change things. And that's when companies listen, right? When they lose money, when they lose market share, when they see that a product is not working anymore, or
Exactly.
they are losing customers. So that is definitely a very good tip. Do you have any other tips? Because we are little by little ending the podcast here. So last question from me. Do you have any other tips for people in a leadership position? What advice could you give them today?
Of course, of course. The first thing I will do as a new leader is listen. Listen to stakeholders, not only employees, not only the shareholder, but to all stakeholders. What's their purpose in life? What's their strategic ambition, and so on and so forth. Then I need to observe what is it that all these stakeholders do. So first you listen, then observe what they do, because they may say one thing and do another. And there may be a very good reason for that, right? So, but you have to observe actual behavior, what people and stakeholders do. And what is very important, you need to have a plan. You need to have a vision. You need to have a purpose. It's your job as a leader to bring the people in your company and the company to a better place. That's leadership. And what a better place is what you define it. Now, some companies take it very unidimensionally and say a better place is more money than last year. Okay, that's what they want. Other companies say, well, we want our employees to develop themselves to be better people, reach their ambitions, and be better employable also for other companies. Because when our employees leave our company and do very well at a different company, we help society as well. And we will educate the new employees as well. And you also have to make sure that things are clear. Some people call it transparency, but transparency doesn't cut it. I can be very transparent about my spending and spend it all on the wrong things, but I'm transparent. What people want to do their job very well. So they need to have clarity. What should I do? What should I not do? What are my resources? What if I don't have enough resources? So clarity is very operational, but this is what people like. Now, as an academic, I say I decide myself what I do and how I do it, because academics have no respect for authority, right? This is why we are academics. We are in a zoo. It's an anarchy. It's the only anarchy that gives me a paycheck at the end of the month. Many people like to have clarity. I want to know what I have to do when I come in and go out. Now, you can help people create clarity for themselves to create more autonomy. So that's a couple of things that I, as a leader, would do. I would never do. What I never would do is try to be the big gorilla, shouting things that people should do. I think you have to be one among the people. You are the primus inter pares, in fact. You are accountable, you are responsible. But it's like, how would you lead your family? That's how I would lead a company. With my family, I don't want to be in debt. I want to create great experiences. I want my children to thrive. And that's the same thing that I would do with the company. Be patient, but look at the data, look at what people do, and look at their ambitions and do good for every stakeholder.
If I may add to that, maybe reconnect a little bit more the head with the heart, because that's how we lead our children, right? We don't
That's
just
right.
lead them with the heads, we also lead them with our heart. And I think that where it goes wrong in business, when only lead from the head, and we only try to rationalize the way we lead people, and then we lose connection.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between leading and managing. Managing is making sure
Totally.
things get done. Leading is a bit different. It's like I said, it's bringing the company and the people and hopefully the stakeholders to a better place. That's leadership. And we need both. We need leadership and management because things have to get done.
Totally. So nice. Always nice to talk to you, Henry. Let me get
Pleasure.
to my last question. The last question is from an amazing entrepreneur. Her name is Helene. She founded a creative design platform, which is called Omar City. And she has the ambition to be the happiest entrepreneur in the world. Isn't that a
Wonderful.
beautiful purpose? Yes.
Yes, I like that. I like it.
And the question that she left is, how can you bring out the best in people and strengthen each other instead of looking at people's limitations? How can you hire not just the same people with the same skill set, but be open to a diverse range of talent and diverse range of people, and ensure that they all work well together? So it's a bit of a large question. So what would you answer to that?
It's a very relevant question. You want to have diversity of thinking in your company. If everybody thinks very rationally or very emotionally, then it's an ending story. And to do that, you as the leader must be perfectly clear about it, what it is that you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it and when. So you have to make sure that people know, if I'm going to work for this company, then we will strive towards reaching that particular goal then and then. So that's already weeding out a lot of people, right? If you don't like our ambition, our purpose, whatever it may be, then we probably don't want to hire you. Then you have to find out, okay, what do you need to get there in terms of skill sets? Now, some people are very analytical, some are very creative. Now, you know it. And it's very seldom that you have a very analytical and creative and emotionally sensitive person. It's very difficult to get. And we shouldn't go out and look for only those people. We're all working in teams. So you have in a team, in an organization, there should be some creativity, analytical skills, sales skills, and so on and so forth. That's something that you need to see as a leader. You need those skill sets, and you can't find them in every person. That's true. So that's one thing. And then we have to make sure that people want to be respected and they want to feel valued. So that's something that's on an interpersonal basis. And to do that, we need to know their own personal ambitions. Where do you want to go in 5 to 10 years? How can I help you getting there? If I know your strategic ambition, very likely you will say, well, I want to reach it, but I see some obstacles. And then you tell me your story, ambition. I say, well, is it now? I don't see any obstacles at all. These obstacles are in your head, so we can help each other create our ambition and get there. And I think we also should be very clear in what people need to do. Some people need more management for whatever reason than others. Some are very autonomous. Some people like to be told what to do. That gives them safety. It's predictable. So this leader needs to see that there are different skill sets necessary, and you have to organize that. You have to value people, respect them, know their ambition. And, if you bring a team of professionals together, they know each other's ambition, they know each other's skill sets, things will take off from there.
Mhm.
Don't limit people, give them opportunities, help them where they need help.
Mhm.
Develop people.
Right.
Developing people is developing your company.
Totally. Thank you so much, Henry. I think
You're most welcome.
we are at the end of this podcast. What can I wish you for the rest of this summer?
It's what the Greek call the 3 Gs. So, and in English, it means health, happiness, and what is the following? There's a third one. I need to figure that out, but you can wish me that, and I wish you the same back.
So nice. Health and happiness. It's already good to have those two. They are the foundation, I think, of a purposeful life. And we'll find out the last one, and I'll edit it in the notes of this podcast. I will also
Thank
add it.
you.
I will also add your books because you've written 10 books, and I'm sure a lot of them are still to be found on the market. Probably not all of them.
Well, the 2 most recent ones are the most important ones. So
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for your time, Henry. Thank you
it's a pleasure.
for your support and belief in the CARE principles. For the people at home, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and take care.
Check out thecareprinciples.com and see how we can help you. Thank you and take care.